Daf Nun Dalet. Be'ezrat Hashem. Joe, we're going to need your pictures over there. Well, I can't find the Mishnayot. I'm looking for the Mishnayot all morning. I can't find it. No, the one with the pictures. We have that. Not Pirush Hai, the other guy. There's the Mishnayot. No, it's Mishnayot, whatever they call it. Okay. Yeah, he shows the pictures. Animals is good. Harehalim yotzot kivulot. Rehelim, the rahels, the ewes could go out. Female sheep yotzot kivulot. My kivulot, what kivulot? Shemechablim aliyah shelehem lemata. This time the shehuzot they tie it up so that the male sheep will come. Now this one you don't want to get pregnant, so you tie mechavlim. They chain down aliyah shelahem, their tail lemata down, kedei shelo ya'alu alehem hazecharim, so the males won't come on top of them. My mashma, what's the mashma? Dahai kibul lishna delo abi perihu. Kivul. Why do they call that kivulot? Because it's a lashon of not making perot. Dichtiv, like it says. Ma ha'arim ha'ele asher natata li ahi. I think it's talking about Hiram. Shlomo HaMelech, he gave him some cities. He told him, what kind of cities are these that you gave me? Vayikra otam. Vayikra lahem, he called them Eretz Kavul Ad Hayom Hazeh. Kanere, it wasn't profitable cities. So what kind of cities you give me? My Eretz Kivul, Amar Avuna, Shayu ba bnei Adam, there were people there, Shemchubalim bekesev v'zahav. Rashi me'utafim u'mekusharim, they were tied down and weighed down with lots of flus. So therefore they don't work. And there's no profit. What? Yeah, they're rich. So that's the Gemara's not going to be so happy with that. Amar le Rava ihachi hainu dichtiv velo yashiru be'inav. He wasn't happy with them. Mipnei shemechubalim bekesev v'zahav lo yashru be'inav. Well, you give him rich cities, he's not happy. Amar re'in kivan de'atiri, they're rich umefanke and they're spoiled. Lo avdi avidata, they don't do any work. Rashi anigriya shel melech, they won't do anything for the king. They're all spoiled, bunch of brats. Yeah. So okay, so that's the pshat. Eretz kivul, they were mechubalim bekesev v'zahav, and in Mela they didn't make any perot. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Eretz Homton Haita. Rashi Melecha Umitbakaat. What's Melecha? Salty? Salty mitbakaat. It's opened up. It has like craters in it. So it says, Va'amai kari le kebul. The mishtarga be kar'a ad kavla. Sounds like your leg sinks in it. Ad kavla perek hatachton shekorim kevila. I think it means till your knee, but I'm not sure. Ankle? Till the ankle. Usually the ankle is not kvila. Okay. So you sink in. It doesn't sound like it's hard. It sounds like it's mucky. It sounds like it's mucky, this land. But it's not very useful. The Amri Inchi, and people say Ara mechabla de lo avad pere. To pull them out. Oh, the kavla they thought. Okay. Mefaresh ri adashok. The Re says kavla is until the calf. Keda'amar beperek b'meisha birit be'achat kevalim b'shtayim. Shemanichim ha'kevalim. You put the chains on the shok, so that's a little bit higher than the ankle. Kibunot. So that's why they call those kavlas, because they don't make perot and kivulot. Kibunot. My kibunot, shemechavnim otam lemilat. They wrap them up for milat, in order to make fancy fabric from it. Rashi, shemechavnim koshrim beged sevivo. They tie cloth around it, biyom shenolad, on the day that the animal is born. Shetzimro naki. That day his fur, his wool is white. Umeshamer tzimro shelo yitanef, and it protects the wool so it shouldn't get dirty. Lemilat la'asot mitzimro kle milat, which is very expensive and fancy stuff. Kedetnan se'et kesemer lavan, like white wool. My tzemer lavan amar of bibi barabaye ketzemer naki ben yomo, like white wool the day it's born. Shemechabenin oto lemilat, that they tie it up for the milat. And Rashi says, Mechabnin al she'osin kemin karse matechet. They make metal hooks, lehaber beged, to connect this cloth from one side to the other. Kemo tinaten kebinti lebiti nushka belaz. I guess it's like a hook, but I'm not sure. So that's the kibunot. They would wrap it up keep the thing white. V'ha'izim yotzot sirurot liyavesh. So in the Mishnah we had Rabbi Yossi oser bekulan. He's oser everything. He's oser maybe the marda'at. He's definitely oser. He's oser levuvim and shehuzot kebulot and tzirurot, which is tied up so that they don't, for the milk. Rabbi Yossi is oser everything. Tzirurot, kevulot, shehuzot, all of that. And Rabbi Yehuda says there's a difference when you tie when the tzirurot, whether it's libash, whether it's to dry out, which is mutar, and whether it's lehalav, to protect the halav or whatever, according to Machloket Rashi and Tosfot, which is asur. Amar itmar Rav Amar halacha Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that when you're tying the udders, it's only mutar if you want to protect it, to dry it out, but it's not mutar if you want to keep the milk. The Shmuel Amar halacha Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel says the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, that everything is asur, only kibunot is mutar. V'ika dematni lahashma ata be'apei nafsheh. Some said they said it without saying the names of the Tanaim. Rav Amar liyabesh mutar. Rav says drying out is mutar velo lehalav. V'Shmuel Amar echad ze ve'echad ze asur, that they're both asur. Tosafot says Rav Amar liyabesh mutar ve'im tomar. If you're just being posek the mahloket Tanaim the way it is, leim amor halacha kemor. Why don't you say the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda? Why are you telling me keilu you made up the halacha yourself? V'yesh lomar mishum deika demehafche lehu letanaeh. It could be there was an alternative version in the Mishnah. They had Rabbi Yehuda saying the other position, so they that's why he had to say specifically. V'ika dematni la'aha, and some say it like this. Izim yotzot. There's a braita, a different braita. Izim yotzot tzirurot liyabesh. The izim are allowed to go out tied up in order to dry up the udders. Avalo lehalav, but not in order to protect the milk. Mishum Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera amru kach halacha. Aval mi mefis eze liyabesh ve'eze lehalav umitoch she'en makirim echad ze ve'echad ze asur. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera came around and he said like this. He says, really, we should say liyabesh is mutar and lehalav is asur, but you can't tell the difference. Mi mefis, guy sees him walking out, he's going to say they're both mutar. So because of that, the gezerah is not mitkayem unless you do it. What's it called? Unless you do it on both. Amar Shmuel ve'amri le Amar of Yehuda Amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera. Ki ata rabin. Amar Rabbi Yehuda halacha ketanakama. The halacha is like the Tanakama that liyabesh is mutar. Rashi aval mi mefis. No. Oh, halacha ketanakama. Right. Ben liyabesh ben lahalav. But okay. Rashi aval mi mefis mi metil goral umavhin. Who's going to decide ezel liyabesh ve'ezel halav? V'arei otam tzururo liyabesh. Guy sees them tied up for drying. Omed lehalav hu ve'ati lemishre tarvayu. Ketana kama dematnitin. Like Rashi, deshari betarvayu. Says Tosu, what's the difference between the BOC and the Yehuda ben Betera? How did they both osir both? Right? If you hold like the BOC, both is asur. If you hold like the Yehuda ben Betera, both is asur. Hadin akar the Yehuda ben Betera, velo nakar BOC, mishum de b'makom she'en osim klal ela liyabesh. Let's say in your place, they don't have this lehalav business. They only do liyabesh. Shari Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera. Delo shayachata mi mefis. For Rabbi Yossi osir, because anyway, even over there, don't manafil. Okay. L'maaseh, the Rif is posek that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that liyabesh is mutar. Ubamaye ena yotza lo yetze gamal bimtultelet. לא עקוד ולא רגול, וכן שאר בהמות. ולא יקשור גמלים זה בזה וימשוך, אבל מכניס חבלים לתוך ידו וימשוך, ובלבד שלא יכרוך. רש"י, מטולטלת. יש מפרשים פושלה. יש מפרשים פושלה. שמחמת שתחת זנבו. We said the fushla is the strap that you use to tie the ukaf, that it shouldn't slide forward. V'yesh mifarshim marda'at, that it's like a blanket that you put on top of the camel. V'ha'acharon nireh be'enai. I think that the blanket is more correct. The iritzu'ah shetachat hazanav, if it's the strap underneath the tail, kishura u'mechuberet lesarga, Ve'ech tipol, how's it going to fall off? Ve'ta'amad emadniti mishum shemet tipol, umayti lahu. The Gemara is going to quote it. And he's going to carry it. Lo akud, then Rashi is going to change, give another pshat in the Gemara. Lo akud ve'lo ragul, mefarshina b'Gemara, she'okdim yedehem im raglehem bekevalim shelo yivrechu. It's like a parking brake on the camel. You want to make sure that the camel doesn't leave, so you tie his hand and his leg together. Now he can't go, right? When he's crouching, you tie it. Now he can't move. Or when he's standing up, you tie one arm up. Now he can't. There's 3 legs. It's pretty hard. That's one. We're going to do all of them now. Oh, and that's the other one. That's the other one, but it's not really such a good picture. We'll see. Okay. Lo akud velo ragul. They don't need pictures in halal for this, right? They just go outside. The lefties. Velo yikshor gimalim zula zu v'yimshoch. And you can't tie the camels one to the other and pull like they have a caravan. Kedem mefaresh b'Gemara. But you can put them all in one shot. Like you see the dog walkers in the city, right? They have 18 leashes and they're walking. You can't wrap all the leashes. The Gemara is going to explain. Tana, we learned, he can't go out with a mitultelet to tie to his tail. Aval yotzehu is allowed to go b'mitultelet hakeshura biznavo u'bechotarto. If it's tied to his tail and to the hump, it's okay. Amar Rabba baravuna yotzeh gamal b'mtutelet hakeshura lo b'shil yata. If it's tied, if he has like an afterbirth hanging out, I guess it would hang for a long time, and it was tied onto that. Since that will hurt, if it moves, you're allowed to go out with that. Look in Rashi. Rashi says biznavo bechotarto tekiven de keshura b'shnehem. If it's only tied to the back, it might fall off. It's asur. But if it's tied to both, it won't fall. You're not going to carry it. Chotarto haldruba. It's not an Arabic word there, Shai. It's French. It's French. Yeah. Haldruba sheyesh lekol gemalim al gabehem, that all the camels have on their back. Beshilyata, Tekiven de Kaiv, since it hurts, lo min tehale, she's not going to shake it off. Velinire mitultelet kar katan male muchim, a little pillow full of stuffing. Not nimlo tahat zanav, they put it underneath his tail. Kedeh shelo tashchit haritzu'ah habasar, so that the ritzu'ah, I guess the strap that they tie under the tail, so that the load doesn't shift, doesn't damage it. Lefi she'amasoy she'al gaba kishagamal yored machbid v'yored klapei tzavra, goes to the front. Ela she'ritzu'ah me'akvato. So if you just have the pillow there, it might fall off. But if the pillow is, it's very complex, the whole thing. You have the pillow in the back, and then you tie the pillow in the back to the front of the hump, and now the pillow is secure. That's okay. But if the pillow is not, the pillow is only tied to the tail, it might fall off. And then on top of the pillow, you tie the fushlat to hold the load so it doesn't slide in the front. A lot of action going on.
Who's the guy who puts this on?
The camel driver. Yeah, of course. It's like if you get one of the taxi drivers in Israel that doesn't know how to tie the load on the top, then you wind up with your suitcase all over the highway from the airport. Okay. So that Rashi changes the pshat over here. Lo akud velo ragul. Delicious. Lo akud velo ragul. Amar Rav Yehuda, akud akedat yad veregel. Akud means that the hand and the foot are tied together. Ki Yitzhak ben Avraham. Like Yitzhak ben Avraham. Ragul shelo yachuf yado al gabe zir'o. Don't tie his hand on his arm, being short and tie it. Rashi.
So you can't go out when the animal's tied like that?
The animal can't go out like that.
What's the, why?
I do it so that he shouldn't move, but kanere he could still move a little bit, but he's not let it go out. Maybe it's going to fall off, I guess.
That's why?
Maybe. Or maybe it's a masoy, because he doesn't want it. Yad veregel. It's a masoy.
Yeah, but that's why.
Yad veregel, echad min hayadayim ve'echad min raglayim, kovel b'yahad. He chains them together. Yad al gab ziro'o, echad mi yadav kofef klape malad ve'kosher. Kedeh shelo yelo el gimel raglayim livroach. So he only has 3 legs, he can't run so fast. Meitivei akud shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim. Akud means that you tied both hands and both feet, and you're telling me yad varegil, 1 hand and 1 feet. Ragul shelo yachuf yado al gabe zro v'yikshor. So your definition of akud seems to be off. You're telling me that akud is only 1, and the Braita tells me shtei yadayim ke'echad, that it's both. 1 second. Akud shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim. Rashi learns it differently. Shtei yadayim ke'echad or shtei raglayim ke'echad. He ties 2 hands or he ties 2 feet, but not hand to foot. Ragul shelo yachuf yad al gabe zir'o v'yikshor. So we answer no. Huda amar ki haytana. Rav Yehuda is going like a different Braita, the Tanya. Akud akedat yad varegel, or shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim, or 2 hands and 2 feet. Ragul shelo yachuf yado al gabe zir'o v'yikshor. V'akati lo dami. B'shlam reisha v'seifa, your beginning and your end is the same. Mitziata, that the Tana includes in akud 2 hands or 2 feet is difficult. Elahuda amar ki haytana. He says like this Tana. Akud akedat yad varegel, tying hand to foot. Ki Yitzchak ben Avraham. Ragul shelo yakuf yado al gabe zir'o v'yikshor. Rashi. Reisha v'seifa nicha kedrav Yuda. Aval mitziata dekatani o shtei yadayim o shtei raglayim kashya ledrav Yuda. Delo kari akud ele yad veregel. Ki Yitzchak ben Avraham dichtiv vaya'akod kafaf yadav veraglav la'achorav. He bent his hands and feet behind him. V'kashar yad veregel yahad. He tied hand to foot. V'nifshat tzavaro la'achorav, and therefore his neck has to be back. No, like this.
You head back, yeah.
So that when you tie your hand to your leg, your neck gets stretched out.
His legs were bent, his legs were straight.
Bent. It's not in the front.
Yeah, in the back.
It's not in the front, in the back, so that his neck is up, so you're able to make a good shahita.
What's wrong? President that slit his neck?
No, that to tie him like that, and yeah. And he said tie tighter.
Right.
The whole positioning is not so.
The Gemara continues. V'lo yikshor gemalim. My ta'ama, why can't you tie them one to the other? I mean, what's the difference? That's a big deal. So I have a bunch of camels tied together. Makes it more convenient for me. It says, my ta'ama, amar of Ashi, mishum de mechzi keman da azil hinga. It looks like you're going to the marketplace to sell them. Rashi l'shuk l'muchram. Hinga al shem שמסובבים את השוק מחולות עגולות שבניה, circles of people surround it. Okay? דמחזי כמאן דאזיל לחינגה אבל מכניס ידו ברצועה ובלבד שלא יכרוך, as long as you don't tie it. So what's the problem? אמר רב אשי לא שנו אלא לעניין כלאיים. This is what it says, that you can't put all those ropes in your hand and wrap it, is klayim. Sha'nez, or whatever. Klayim demai, what's the klayim? What's the mixture? Ilaim klayim the adam, meaning because they're pulling, and you're going to pull with them, and now you're pulling with the animal, so it's two minim. Man with the donkey, man with the camel. It says, Ve'hatanya, tenam, we learned, adam mutarim kulam lahrosh v'limshoch, that a person is allowed to work with any animal as long as it's only one animal. It's only two different animals that can work together, but you're allowed to work with the animal. Yeah, of course, Jack. Not saying the Gemara. That's not the question. You need a Mishnah. Ela, of course. Ela klayim de havalim. The problem is one of the straps might be wool, one of the straps is pishtan, and when you wrap it around your hand, you're getting warmed from the wool and the linen. If it's a cold day,
Camels and donkeys not going to be too cold. How about in the morning?
So the Gemara says, "Vehatanya." What are you talking about? What's the problem? Vehatanya hatokef tekifa hat ena hibur. If you stitch it once, it's not a hibur. Over here, you didn't stitch it at all. You just wrapped it around your hand.
No, but it's more than a stitch. Maybe this.
I don't have a stitch.
No,
I don't even have one.
More because you wrap it so tight and you're walking for hours.
So the Gemara doesn't think so. Gemara says, "Le'olam climb the havalim." We're talking about climb on the strings. V'hachi kamar b'lvad shelo yichroch v'yikshor. You're not allowed to wrap it around your hand and tie them together. You want to tie them together so they don't run apart if you drop it. If you do that, it's asur, because now it's tied. Now it's climb. Wow. It's not talking only Shabbat. Linyan climb, it's asur every day.
So that's what we were talking about this whole time, the Yisur of the Kalaim. That's why you shouldn't go out with the...
That's why Blat Shelo Yichroch. The reason why you can't daisy chain them, that's Kimechzi Keman Ta'azil Lechinga, and that's only Asur on Shabbat. Do what you want on the weekday. But this is what we say, that you can't hold all the wrap stripes together and wrap around your hand. There's only if you tie them, and it's for Klayim, and it's every single day.
Every day.
V'achi kamar b'lvad shelo yichroch v'yikshor. The Ran says really, the Rif quotes this. The Rif quotes Linyan Klayim, the whole story. He says the Rif only quoted it to explain the Mishnah. But la halacha, we don't care. Why? I'm just happy we don't care. Why? Davar she'enu mitkaven. We hold like Rabbi Shimon. Davar she'en mitkaven is mutar. No, the chinga is asur, Jack. You keep wanting to. He wants to lead his camels like that. I know. No, we're talking about the straps. When you're wrapping the straps around your hand.
So the Vashmi is just like the guy in the shuk that's trying.
He's not interested. No, yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. This guy's not interested in. in warming his hand. He wants to make sure the animals don't, what's it called? Don't run away. It's okay. That's what the Ran says anyway.
Can't you not say Davar Shem Kavim when it's for sure happening?
It's not psik reisha. I'm not for sure being nehene. We said ubelvad shelo yitkavem b'hama mepnei hama b'geshamim mepnei geshamim. Okay. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says ubelvad shelo yetze chevel mitachat yado tefach. This is on Shabbat. When you're pulling any animal, not only the hamor or whatever, you can't have the string going out from your hand to tefach. You have to hold it at the end. Rashi, shelo yetze hevel, rosh hahevel lo yetze mitachat yado tefach lemata, dedami kemi shenos'a biyado. It looks like you're carrying that part of the string because it's not helping you with the dog. The part that's the string is coming from the cat, from the horse to your hand. Now there's one tefach sticking down over here. What's it doing for you?
It's helping you because the dog starts to run. You
have a little extra. It's just nothing. It's extra. Rashi. Rosh hahevel lo yetze mitachat yado tefach lemata. Dedami kemi shenos'a biyado. V'lo mitchazya, it doesn't look shum me'afsara gemalim, that's part of the strings of the camel. V'ha tani debe Shmuel. Shmuel had a braita. Tifachayim, only 2 tifachim can come out. Amar Abaye. It's an interesting piece. Hashta da Amar Shmuel tefach. Shmuel said tefach. V'tana debe Shmuel tifachayim. So why does Shmuel say a tefach if it's tifachayim? Shmuel halacha l'ma'aseh atala shmuinan. Shmuel is telling you what you could do. Look in Rashi. Shmuel da Amar tefach lo'oruye halacha l'ma'aseh ata. La shmuinan da habali malech lefanenu. Someone comes to ask us, amrinan le tefach. We tell him a tefach shelo la'akel be'isurim. Umiyu atefachayim leka isur. Is that a Chelek Gimel over there? What Mishnah is that? 2 tefachs. 2 tefachs. What? No, the opposite. Talking at the end of the string, you can't have a tefach hanging. No, hold it at the end. Hold it at the end and wrap it around your hand. No, we didn't say that yet. Then the Gemara says, "V'hatanya ubelvad shelo yagbia min akarka tefach." Didn't we learn that as long as it's a tefach off the ground, that sounds like I could have 5-6 tefachim hanging as long as it's not within a tefach of the floor. Ki tanyahi b'havla de beini beini. That's talking about in between. It can't droop down and be within a tefach to the ground. Between you and the animal, let's say it gets close and now it droops down. That's asur. But behind your hand, it's asur as long as there's more than a tefach already. It's asur. So very clearly, you're allowed to walk your dog on Shabbat. It's not worse than a here. Hey, what? Hamotzi behema. If you're walking your animal, vehu moshcha be'afsar, and you're pulling it by its leash, tzarich lizaher shelo yetze rosh hahevel mitachat yado tefach lemata. He has to make sure that the leash doesn't drop a tefach from his hand. Tedami kemo shenos'a biyado. It's like carrying it. V'lo mitchazya me'afsar behema, and it doesn't look like it's from the leash. V'gam lo yaniach harbe min hahevel ben yado lebehema. You can't leave a lot of string between your hand and the animal. Kedei shelo yachbid, so that it shouldn't get heavy. Ad shelo yagia betefach kasamuch la'aretz. Ve'im hu aroch, if it's very long, yichroch oto saviv savara. Wrap it around the animal's neck.
Retractable, there's no problem.
I'm not so sure.
There's nothing behind it.
I understand, but maybe holding that, why did Maran say to wrap it around your hand?
No, the neck.
Why he said to wrap it around the neck? Why didn't he say to wrap it around your hand? Maybe that looks like you're carrying. I'm not sure.
But over here, it doesn't.
I understand. So when the rope is too big, Maran said, maybe. If you're right, then it's okay. If you're wrong, then it's asur.
Oh, the one with the rope. The one with the wall.
The retractable. That's what we're donning. I had this question for a long time. I didn't find the hachra'at to say that it's. I was thinking when we learned the Torah at the beginning, I thought maybe it's mutar, but I can't prove it. I don't have a proof if that retractable one is mutar or asur. It's very popular, that retractable item. What?
Convenient.
Very convenient. See, the problem with walking the dog nowadays is that you have to carry because you need to poop a scoop, and that for sure is asur.
No, but if that's the piece hanging to the leash, they have that thing.
Forget hanging to the leash, not hanging to. How are you going to poop a scoop?
They put the
They don't do it anyways.
They do. They all do it. They walk with the newspaper and the bag.
They have dispenser attached to the leash.
So that's for sure asur. It's extra. And what, if you're not allowed to have a tefach hanging out, you're allowed to have the pooper scooper kit.
Not a kid, they just put the bag.
That's the bag.
The dispenser.
Okay. You're not allowed to carry it. Okay. We're not leaving the dogs now. Now we're going to hamorim. What? Maybe. But you have to poop scoop your dog, but the police horses, they can go do whatever they want. Okay. And sweater, it's mistama, it's a malbush. And hamor. And hamor, it has to be taught from before
No, Rabbi,
Shabbat.
it's not malbush. It's noi.
It's noi.
Animal not in malbush.
Noi is asur on an animal.
So I said noi. You're putting
What the hamor gets called? How do you know when they just give the dog the haircut? Maybe he's cold. We're gonna see. Wait, you want to see pampering? The Gemara doesn't understand. And hamor yotze b'marda'at. The hamor is not allowed to go out with the marda'at with the blanket. Bizman she'ena kishuralo when it's not tied on. Velo bezug, and not with the belt. Afal pishu pakuk, even though it's plugged. Velo besulam shebetzavaro, not with a ladder on its neck. The Gemara is going to explain why we make it. Velo beritzuah sheberaglo, and not with the strap that they put on his foot. Ve'ena tarnegolim yotzim bechutin. They can't go out with strings on their feet, and not with straps on their feet. And the male sheep can't go out. They used to make a little cart, put it under the tail. Heavy, good one. They can't go out hanunot. The Gemara is going to explain. We're going to explain. Rashi says kupar sheretzu. שנימיו חדים כמחט וקוראים לו הירצון וקושרים עורו בדדי הפרה שלא ינקוהו שרעשים. So a kipod is a porcupine, right? So you're not allowed to tie porcupine skin to the udders of the animal so that no shiratzim suck from it. ולא ברצועה שבין קרניה, and not with the straps that's between its horns. פרתו של רבי אלעזר בן עזריה. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah's cow, Haita Yotzah Beritzuah Sheben Karnea. He was walking out with a strap between the horns, Shelo B'Ritzon Hachamim, against the will of the Chachamim. My ta'ama. Rashi says before that, Agala kegon karon katan, like a little cart. She'osin lo tahad zenavo. Sherosh zanav otan ha'ayalim rahav. It's wide, kemin kar katan, like a little pillow. Ve'em bo etzim, it doesn't have a bone. Ela shomen, only fat. Ve'av ve'kaved, it's heavy, it's hot, it's big. U'shenigrar la'aretz, when it drags on the floor, nisrat, it gets scratched. Ve'nishhat, it gets ruined. Ve'osin lo agala mitgalgelet harav. They make a little cart behind it. Kishuhu olech v'azanav kashur aleha. You have to take care of your animals. You want to get good money, you have to accessorize them properly. Well, you don't see them? Now the truth is, there's a whole thing that they cut off the tails of some of the animals, and there's a whole movement for and against the whole business. What?
Usually, we used to have the problem when I used to work in sweaters.
Yeah.
The New Zealand farmers, they do a special thing to the sheep. And the way they do it, and the PETA people say it's NG.
Right, they cut it
people
off.
say if they don't do it, then the sheep are going to die or whatever.
Right.
Some stupid PETA thing.
Right.
But it's good for the animal.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't want us to buy wool from those suppliers.
Right, so you got protested. My ta'ama keda'amaran. What's the reason? What's the reason why? What's the reason why you're not allowed to go out with a mazdat if it's not tied? Keda'amaran. So this is where the famous Rashi is. She'ena keshura bo me'erev Shabbat. Delo gali me'etmol shehi tziricha lekach shihela lemalbush. If you don't tie it, it's not. You can't tell it's a malbush if you don't tie it from before Shabbat. And Tosfot said because it looks like you want to carry it or something else. Velo bezug afal pishu pakuk. You can't go out with the bell, even though it's stuffed up. Mishum demechzi keman da azil lehinga leshuk limkor vetolim lo zug lehanaato. I think it means lehan oto, to make it beautiful. Han oto, to make it nicer. Tosafot says, Mishum demechzi keman de azil lehinga, aval masoy eno. It's not a burden. Shebatel agav afsar. It's batel to the leash. Yeah, it's not connected to the leash. It's around the neck or something. The way we tie it, they tie it around here. But can they? All around the back, maybe. Umishum dilma nafil nami leka, because Tosfot's bothered. How did we said there's no noi behema? If there's no noi behema, see, according to Rashi, it's not difficult. Why? Because we saw in the Mishnah Berurah that certain noise are mutar. Right? We saw that Saturday night. In the beginning of Shin Hey, he said, "Mirashi v'ran mashma da'afal pi shekaruch bechozik saviv savara she'en adam yachol lachnis yado benafsar letzavar shetei noch l'kishit afil shari mishum dahave noi v'afal gav dekol noi asur haynu davka benoi delav urhe bechol la'afuke davar shederech kol adam la'asot ken bechol lenoi behema lav masoyu." Something very common is not a masoy. So it could be the bell was also very common, and therefore it's not so bad. Maran doesn't quote about this thing. He doesn't talk about Mishnah. Okay, so that's why Rashi doesn't quote it. But Tosfot is bothered because Tosfot doesn't hold of that etir. So Tosafot says, so why are you not afraid? So it's not noi because it's batel to the afsar. Umishum dilma nafal. Why don't you worry? Maybe it's going to fall off. Lekel meichash kedehayish gabezug beresh b'meisha adahacha mayri be'arig. It's woven into the afsar. The amarhatam kol shu arig lo gazru. Okay. So what's the problem? It looks like you're going to the hinga. V'lo besulam shebetzavaro. Amar Rav Huna beloa. It's like it's a piece of wood like that looks like a ladder that they put along the side so that he can't turn his head. Lemay avdile le'echad itle makah. When he has a wound, the lo hadar hayich be. He shouldn't turn back to scratch it with his teeth. Rashi shekorin etzel alechi. They tied it by his jaw. The lo hadar hayich la shelo yuchal lachzir savaro. He shouldn't be able to turn his neck letzada makale hachecha b'shinav, to scratch it with his teeth. V'koshrim b'tzavaro, they tie it on his neck. V'hashubin hen yotin mikashishin shal gabe hashevet. The splint on the shevet, if it falls, he's not going to pick it up. And therefore, v'inaflu, but this one is hashuv, hayis alayu, he's going to feel bad to leave it. Umayti lehu b'shkagai, he's going to wind up bringing it in b'shogeg. Velo b'ritzu'ah sheberaglo, the avdile legizra. The ritzu'ah that's on his feet, they make it legizra. Rashi says, antur tliri, something bilaz. Behema shepesi'otea ketzarim. It takes its steps too short. Umakeh ragleha zu bazu, ze bazeh. It bangs its feet together. Osim la kemin taba'at shel akalim or ritzuot avod. They make some sort of a ring around its knees. They tie it above the foot. Makom shemenashkim zubazu, where it's banging together to keep it separate. You have a nice picture? Let's see. Here they have a picture. I was thinking it was wider than that to keep the feet further away. But okay, whatever it is.
No, nothing is further away. So when they go
So it doesn't hurt. Okay.
Don't bang each other.
ואין דאבדי ללגזרה ואין התרנגולים יוצאים בחוטין. Why do they put strings on the chicken's feet? דאבדי לסימנה כי היכי דלא לחלפו. So you'll know whose chicken is who? You put red, I'll put green. ולא ברצועה. דאבדי לה, they put the straps כי היכי דלא לתברומני. Sometimes you get a wild chicken that he likes, he acts up. So you tie his feet together, he can't get too wild. Rashi, דלולת ברומני, שקושרים שני רגליה יחד ברצועה קצרה, שלא תוכל להרים רגליה ולהתיש, she can't lift up her feet and get angry. ואין הזכרים יוצאים בעגלה, they can't go with that little cart, כי היכי דלא לחמתן עלייתה, they go out with it so that it shouldn't bang up the tail. So why is that asur? כנראה, maybe it will fall off and you'll come to carry it home. The other two maybe is considered a masoi, but this is it might come to get it. Ki heichida ve'ena rechelim yotzot hanunot yativ Rav Haber ula kamed Rav Hizda v'yativ v'kama. So he's explaining what's hanunot. Misha'a shegozizinotah, when yeshira for the wool. Now it's cold. Tom nimla ezek b'shemen. Rashi says ezek or azak or something. Tzemer gefen or kol davarach, some sort of a tuft of material. Umanihim la al padachdan, they put it on its forehead. Kedei shelo titztanen, so it shouldn't be cold. Amar le'Rav, we think it's normal because we live in the 20th century. Amar le'Rav Hizda, imken asita mor ukva. You're treating him like Bill Gates. Mor ukva, very wealthy guy. Look at Rashi. Asita mor ukva nihagta berachel zu. You treated this sheep. Hashivuto shel mor ukva, the importance of mor ukva. Shaya ashir, he was wealthy. Ve'av bedin v'chi derech hashivuta lekach. You're going to give her such pampering? Ela yativ Rav Papa. So Rav Papa sat down. Bar Shemuel kamed Rav Hizda. V'yativ ka'amar b'sha'a shekora'ad leled, when the sheep is giving birth. Tom nimla, now we upgraded. Shnei azakim shel shemen, two things of oil with oil. Umanichim la, you put ehad al padachta ve'ehad al arechim, one on the forehead and one on her uterus. Kedei shetithamem, so she should be warm. Amal Rav Nachman imken asita Yalta. That's Rav Nachman's wife. Rav Nachman's wife, what Yalta, was the daughter of the Rish Geluta. Is that now you're giving her treatment like my wife, who's wealthy and hashuv? Yalta, Ishto shel Rav Nachman. Ela, you guys are crazy. Amar Rav Huna, Etz echad yesh bekarchei hayam ve'hanun shemo. There's a type of wood in the islands, it's called hanun. Umevi'im kisam, they bring a piece of it. Umanichim la behotman, they stick it up the animal's nose. Kedei shetitatesh, and the smell of this wood makes it sneeze. So what? Ve'yiplu darnei rosha, and the worms that are in the head will fall off. Ihachi zecharim nami what? Zecharim. If you're telling me you're talking about something that has to do with the giving birth, so that I understand. But if you're talking about worms, the men also have the worms. No, zecharim. Kevan demenakhe zecharim ba'adadi. The zecharim, they do like they do in the commercial. What's that commercial where you have the two rams that were banging each other's head, right? They bang each other. Even the menakhe adad zecharim ba'adadi, they bang each other. Memele naflan. So trust me, there's enough friction over there. All the tolaim fall out. Shimon Nizira Amar Kisma de Ritma. They take a piece of wood from a Ritma tree. Rotem. What's a rotem? Tree. Okay. Bishlama, and it does the same thing. Bishlama de Rav Huna hainu de katani hanunot. Hanunot, because you take from Yahnun. Ela l'Rabanan that say it's a ritma my hanunot. The avdina lehu milta de mirachmin alayhu. We do it because we have mercy on them. Or in order we should have mercy. But I don't know what it means in order we should have mercy. Okay. Aha. It's close. It's close. Ve'en ha'egel yotze begimon. The egel can't go out with a gimon. My egel begimon. Amar Rav Huna bar nira. Right? It's a make-believe yoke. A baby yoke. Right? The egel was a major beast of burden. They used to use it to plow and to pull wagons. So they put this big yoke on it, a big piece of wood that you're able to connect it to the thing behind it. Now the egel, when it's born, what's this? A rotem. Doesn't look like a tree, it looks like a bush. Uh-huh. There's a rotem. Yeah, show that back. So my egel begimon, bar nira, look in Rashi, bar nira, all katan, shamanihin la egel, they put it for the egel, bitzavaro on his neck, sheyeh lamud lachuf rosho l'shiyigdal, because we want it to learn to keep its head down. If it keeps its head up, it blocks the thing. So we train it from when it's young. Amar Rabbi Lazar, my mashma, the high gimon lishna de meichaf. Gimon is mashma, bending your neck. Dichtiv halachof ka'agmon rosho, which is talking about bending your head down, yani on a fast. Velo para be'ora kupar. The avdila, they do it kihechi de lo limtzua yali. So Rashi says yali shelo yankua aluka shekorin shanshush, which is a aluka, which is a leech. And Tosfot doesn't like it. Tosfot says de lo limtziu hayali pirush Rashi shanshuash. Sanswash, the hainu aluka. The endere doesn't seem correct. The end motzetzot el adam. Leeches suck blood, not milk. Ve'od havale lememer alukot, which is determined the shas. Ve'lo ashkachan dekari lehu yale. B'shum makom. V'ner'eh de yali hani namu kupar. Yali is the kupar. The kupar of the porcupine is also called yali. Kedama beresh baba batra gabe hurdus. Herod hadar le tebabe bembuta kelila diyali. A porcupine cap. V'nakrinu le'ineh. And then they poked at his eyes too. V'ha'anaka mitargeminan yali. V'hu shekorin hirtzun. Porcupine. Okay, maybe. Kapod is generally a porcupine. That's right. V'lo birtzu'ah sheben karneha. Ili Rav, according to Rav, ben lenoi ben l'shamer asur. Ili Shemuel, lenoi asur l'shamer mutar, like we said in the beginning of the perek. Parato shel Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. V'hada para havyaleh. What do you mean parato? His para. He had one para and it had a thing. V'hada para havyaleh. He only had one. V'ha'amar Rav. V'amri la amar Yehuda amar Rav. Teresar alfe igle. 12,000 baby calves. Hava ma'aser Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah me'edrei kol shata. That was what he gave for ma'aser every year. Kol shata v'shata. Tana, we learned lo shelo hayta. It wasn't his. Ela shel shchenato. It was, he had a neighbor that had, a female neighbor that had. Umitoch shelo mihaba, but because he didn't stop her, nikret al shemu, it's like they said it was his. That was called para. He could have stopped it. Tosafot is bothered. Hikshar ben utam. The amar beperek batrad b'chorot. The en maaser be'eman noheg ahara hurban mepnei takala. We don't do maaser be'eman now because the maaser be'eman has to be brought as a korban. Until you bring it, you can't use it. You're going to wind up having hana'ah from it and be mo'el b'kadashim. So they will mevatel the maaser be'eman. Im ken bezman habayit hava maaser. He must have been taking this maaser in the time of the hurban when the Beit HaMikdash was still there. Umistama ben Yud Gimel Shana ya he said he had to be 13. V'im ken my kamar dava maaser kol shata v'shata every single year. The ad kan lo haya b'shat ha'churban habayit lechol hayoter The oldest he was, Kiyim ben Yudalit or Tedvav, was 14 or 15. She'arei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai mashach nisiyuto ahar ha'churban shana or shnatayim. At least a year or two, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was nasi. Tekama takanot teken ahar ha'churban. He made a bunch of takanot. It takes time. Kiditnan misheharei Beit HaMikdash itkin Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. ואחריו, and after רבן יוחנן בן זכאי, רבן גמליאל היה נשיא שנתיים או שלוש קודם שמינו את רבי אלעזר בן עזריה. כדאמר בפרק תפילת השחר, אשתקד לאסת יציערה לרבי צדוק, וקודם לכן ציערה לרבי יהושע על תקנת המועדות. So you have a couple years over there. וכשהם ידעו נשיא היה בן י"ח. We know he was 18. So the most he could, you need a couple of years after the Hurban. So, Hare b'shat ha'churban haya ben Yudalit or Tetvav. He had to be 14 or 15. L'chol hayoter. So what is it? Every single year? It was 1 year, 2 years. What are you talking about? V'yesh lomar dekodem gezerah have ma'aser. It took a couple years after the Hurban until they made a gezerah that you don't take ma'aser behema. Inami. No, it was even before. Apotropos haya me'aser b'katnuto. He had a guardian who used to do the ma'aser for him even when he was a katan. והרב רבי אלחנן מפרש, הווה מעשר אחר החורבן בהמות ארנונה למלך. He was paying taxes. It's not לשון המעשר though. Okay. רב ורבי חנינה ורבי יוחנן ורב חביבה. Now, those four rabbis said this word. מתנו בחולה דסדר מועד כל כי היזוגה חילוף רבי יוחנן ומחיל רבי יונתן. There are some that in Seder Moed, whenever you have this this quartet, they take out Rabbi Yochanan and they put in Rabbi Yonatan. Kol mi she'efshar limchod la'anshe beto. Whoever could stop the people of his family from doing something, v'lo mihan, he doesn't stop them. Nitfas al anshe beto, he gets punished for them. Ba'anshe iro, if he could stop the people of his city, nitfas al anshe iro, he's going to be punished for the people of his city, what they do. B'chol ha'olam kulo. If he could stop the people of the whole world, nitfas al kol ha'olam kulo. He'll be punished for everybody in the world. Amar of Papa, v'hani deber resh geluta. The people of the resh geluta, because they're in power, nitfisu al kule alma. They'll get punished for everybody in the world. Ki ha'da amar bihanina. Mai dechtiv. What is this that it says? Hashem b'mishpat yavo im ziknei amo v'sarav. For the rabbis and the officers. Im sarim hatu, if the ministers, if the officers are sinning, zikenim hatu, the Sanhedrin, what was their sin? Elaim al zikenim, shalom yihu b'sari, because they didn't protest. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.